Look at the timing. Look at the sheer, deafening volume of it all. You wake up this morning to a digital hurricane, a typhoon of text designed to make your heart rate spike, designed to make you feel like the country is on fire, that the Constitution has been shredded, that the very soul of the nation is being held hostage by two judges who apparently have no idea what they are doing. And he is typing it all out in real time, caps lock engaged, fingers pounding against the glass, demanding we see the threat, demanding we feel the disgrace. Let's start with the theater of the absurd. He is fixated on this secure ballroom military complex. He tells us it's a desperately needed facility. He says, and I quote, "Each president is a temporary tenant of the White House, and he treats that legal phrase as an act of war." He writes, "We are not tenants, we are presidents who pay rent." No one said you paid rent in the traditional sense, but he is furious. He claims this decision is a national security threat at the highest level and a national disgrace. He wants to fix, renovate, secure, protect, and beautify. He says it has been done many times since 1792 without permission. And now, because two judges, one appointed by Obama, one by Biden, stopped the work on this complex, including a major drone port on the roof, he is calling it an injunction that must be vacated. He drags in Judge Naomi Rao's dissent to validate his rage. He quotes her saying the district court had no jurisdiction and that the balance of equities favored the government. He loves that part. But then he goes into the fantasy architecture of it all. He lists the features like he's reading a catalog for the apocalypse of bomb shelters, state-of-the-art hospital and medical facilities, top secret military facilities, protective missile-resistant steel. He insists there will be no expense to the American taxpayer. He calls it a gift from him and great patriots. And yet the tape is barely moving. DJT rose up 1%, 75th percentile it. It's a rise, it's steady. But look at the silence around it. The market doesn't care about your drone ports. The market doesn't care about your temporary tenant, semantics. And then he pivots because you can't just complain about judges, you have to legislate morality. He throws his weight behind the Protect College Sports, ACT. He says it's a great bill and urges the Senate to stay in D.C. until it passes. His argument is visceral. Without this bill, millions of young athletes will be hurt. Women's and Olympic sports will go away. Universities will go broke. He claims nobody has done more to protect women athletes than him. He says the bill protects laws in 27 states banning men from women's sports. And anyone who disagrees, lying. He tells them to stop grandstanding. It's a moral crusade wrapped in policy, shouted through the megaphone. But did you see the market reaction to that? Did you see ITA rise up 0.35%, 6th cent percentile? It's moving. But is it moving because of his bill? Or is it moving because he's distracted by something else? Because right after the sports rant, he goes back to the reflecting pool. He talks about pure vandalism. He points to a videotape showing slashes in the material at the pool. He says people were on their knees with hands in the water at the exact location of the slashes. He calls it vandalism. He wants United States Attorney Jeanine Pirro to revisit her decision because the guy involved is a big player in Act Blue, a disgraceful fundraising scam. He brings up Norm Eisen, calling him a Trump deranged sleazebag and a political hack lawyer. He says he's been beating Eisen for 10 years. He always wins. It's a personal vendetta disguised as public interest. And while he is fighting this ghost of a vandal and fighting the judges and fighting the Senate on sports laws, he is also securing his political base. He posts about endorsements. Last night was another good night for endorsements a big number. He mentions Charlie Hatcher, an agricultural commissioner from Tennessee who had virtually no chance of winning. He tells him to run tough. Then he congratulates Senator Marsha Blackburn on her win against John Rose. He says she must now run against a radical left Democrat. He claims Tennessee is a state he won in historic numbers. He endorses her completely. It's all connected. The legal battle, the sports bill, the personal grudges, the political endorsements, they are all part of the same narrative engine. But then, look at what he shares. He amplifies a link with the headline Donald Trump won the Iran War. Just that. A claim of victory in a conflict that, by any standard measure, is still unfolding or has just ended. He pairs it with another link. New evidence further undermines claim 2020 election was most secure. He is feeding the base two things: external victory and internal conspiracy. He is telling you that he won the war and that the election was stolen. It's a complete package of grievance and glory. And what does the tape say about all this? DJT rose up 1%, 75th percentile. It went up. But look at Bitcoin. It fell down 0.39%, 68th percentile. Look at Ethereum. It fell down 0.36%, 58th percentile. These assets dipped. They didn't surge on his Iran news. They didn't crash on his election claims. They moved independently. IWM rose up 0.31%, 77th percentile. Small caps went up. The tape is printing its own truth, quiet and indifferent to the shouting. He wants you to believe that his words are moving markets. He wants you to believe that his complete and total endorsement of Marsha Blackburn is shifting the political landscape in real time. But look at the numbers. DJT rose up 1%, 75th percentile. That is a rise? It is a fact. But it is not caused by his rant about tenants. It is not caused by his defense of college athletes. The tape does not care. The tape has no soaring and no crashing, only prints. And right now, the print is steady. He calls the judge's decision unlawful. He calls the vandalism poor. He calls the election most secure in history, and then links to evidence undermining that claim. The contradiction is not a bug, it's the feature. He needs the enemy to be both powerful enough to threaten national security and weak enough to be defeated by his will. He needs the market to react, but he can only control the volume of his own voice. So here we are. The complex is built. Or it isn't. The judges say no. He says yes. The tape says DJT rose up 1%, 75th percentile. The crypto fell. The small caps rose. None of it is because of his tweets. None of it is because of his gift to the nation. It is just data. Just prints. And he is still typing, still fighting, still claiming victory in Iran and defeat in the courtrooms, while the market moves on, silent and unimpressed by his caps lock. That's the show. We're on Spotify and YouTube. If this earned it, like, subscribe, tell a friend. And housekeeping, the machine that writes this gets tuned constantly for cleaner news. The numbers are real. The jokes are not.